as a confirmation, both Jimmy Enabu and James Okello will be leaving the club, have left the club. They are outside of Ben Komakech, probably the most senior of our players, international caps included. Both of them were captains for the club. James Okello is the oldest playing member.
Longest serving.
Yes, the longest serving player. So they've both gotten offers from Burundi and Rwanda. Jimmy in Burundi and James in Rwanda. Yes, so that's what happened, and they went on to leave and will not be playing into the second round.
Welcome to this exciting episode on the Sports Nation. As usual, my name is Brian Kawalia. Like I said in the introduction, this is a special episode of The Inbound. On The Inbound show, we mainly talk basketball, and with a bias on local basketball, of course. And today, we are going to be focusing on the City Oilers. Where I am, it's not a basketball court like you can see, but we are broadcasting from Serena Hotel, and I'm with the manager,
Yes,
director,
GM.
president,
As a president,
yes, the general manager of City Oilers. This club has dominated since it was founded, I think, around 2011. When they came up, that was around 2013, in their debut season, the National Basketball League. They won their first title. I remember, if I'm not mistaken, you guys first started with winning the UC Open in Mukono, that debut season.
Yes.
Which was a regular, what do you call it, a pre-season tournament.
Yes.
But since then, you guys have never looked back.
Yeah. I think the jinx at the time was whoever won it lost the league. I can't remember.
And I think it can be, the same can be said even up to now.
No.
But
no.
You've not participated that much regularly, actually.
Yeah, we did a couple of them at the beginning.
Oh.
And then I think they had, 1 or 2 years they were unable to host.
Was that during COVID?
COVID as well. COVID they didn't, but I think 1 or 2 years. We too also miss. I think we've missed 2 because we couldn't get we couldn't handle the calendar at the time.
Because
but
of continental engagement sometimes?
Yes. Or I vaguely remember one of them being one of those where the season overflowed into January or February, and it was a very busy international year. So because of that, we felt like the players had been playing for too long and gave them a break at that time.
Yes, the first title in the league, you guys beat Falcons after Game 7.
Yes.
You've won 9 in a row,
Yes.
Including beating UCU twice, 2015 and 2019.
Yes.
Beating all those games going into Game 7.
Yes.
Then Namblazers, KIU twice,
Yes.
Power thrice twice.
At a final, I think we met Power once at a final.
Not twice?
If I remember correctly, I think there were semi-final wins.
Should be, I think,
Twice.
I'm not mistaken. But we are not here to talk about the club's history. But what I wanted to bring to you is that part or core of that City Oilers winning squad include Jimmy Enabu and James Okello. And
Yes.
Saturday last week, I don't know if it's this week, but last week, news came out. I think it was first reported by our colleague Brian Tucker. And whenever he's talking about anything to do with City Oilers, we've got to sit down and listen. That tweet, he said that James Okello and Jimmy Enabu have parted ways with the club, and he included with immediate effect. And of course, a lot has been said since then. many theories out there, with of course many fans on Twitter, especially from the rival clubs, saying that they have been mistreated, everything. Those close to the players claim that they have got better deals abroad. Many theories are saying that the players have been unhappy at the club, payments, lacking minutes at the Basketball Africa League, but we are not here to spread rumors. That's why I had to go out and find Grace Kwizera, the general manager at City Oilers, to give us the right information. We hope it's going to be the right information.
Yes.
Or you can decide to lift the lead.
Yes, I saw. Unfortunately, I only saw Tuka's tweet into Monday, actually.
Seriously?
Yeah.
He tweeted on Saturday.
Yeah.
And we happened to see the tweet on Monday.
I should have, but actually I didn't see the tweet. I saw a screenshot, and I only actually, every time I saw the screenshot, whenever it made it to a group, it was fine for me because it was pictures of the two of them, and I assumed he was saying they were leaving, which was fine.
Yes.
I only read what he said in English, and I called him. I said, Brian, how can you fail to write in English? This sounds like we fired people.
Yeah.
And he said to me, no, what I meant was that they are leaving, and not leaving at the end of the season, but they are leaving at this time. So I said, okay, it reads differently. English is obviously
it can be interpreted in a different way.
NBS English, but in future use all all the characters on Twitter and write the whole thing. So yes, that's what happened. But as a confirmation, both Jimmy Enabu and James Okello will be leaving the club. Have left the club. They are outside of Ben Komakech. Probably the most senior of our players, international caps included. Both of them were captains for the club. James Okello is the oldest playing member.
Longest serving.
Yes, the longest serving player. Coach Andrew Tend, of course, was there when we were playing, but he is now moved on from playing to coaching. Outside of Andrew and myself, who are in management, James Okello joined us our second year of existence.
When he's coming from Crane High, was
he? He was coming from Crane High, yes. He was recruited by Coach Mugi as well, also whom was playing at the time. So outside of those, the one that was playing staff was James Okello. So they've both gotten offers from Burundi and Rwanda. Jimmy in Burundi and James in Rwanda. Like the players before them and coaches before them.
When do those offers come through? Before BAL or after BAL?
After BAL. Literally the deadline day is when we found out. On the Friday.
The deadline of the Uganda mid-season transfer.
Exactly. That's when we found out. I'm assuming that's when they also got their offers.
That's when they communicated to the club.
Yes.
To be specific.
Exactly. And I think Jimmy, did they go Friday or Thursday? Because they went to see the club president
Of
Haji Muhammad, to see him, to tell him about the offers. And I think they got to see him either Thursday or the Friday. And like I said, as a club, when the offers you're being made are a lot better than what we have,
more lucrative.
We let the players go. That's the same thing that happened to Coach Mande.
Who went to Rwanda at Cape Town.
Same thing that happened with Kami when he did leave. Same thing that happened to Rai when he went to
Russia.
To Serbia,
Georgia.
I can't remember which Eastern Europeans he went to. So it's club policy for us. It's that, or I think once in our existence, we've had a player who got an offer from an academic institution and wanted to go on to pursue his
to further the studies.
There were two. I think Chris Oumo left us to go for his university in Canada, and somebody else, I can't remember, someone else who left also for his academics. So yes, so that's what happened, and they went on to leave and will not be playing into the second round.
When they told you about the offers, Jimmy and Oxy, had they, by the time, had they already made their minds?
No, they came to ask, really.
If they can take up
if they can take the offer, and they shared, because they are like I said, they've been a part of the club for a very long time, and they came and said, this is what's happening. It's a very big deal. It's not money that the club can pay. It's outside of our budget, so we give them the yes.
Maybe by the fact that these are the legends of the club, and you clearly like it looked somehow difficult or difficult to comprehend for the fans out there. You guys letting two of these players go midway through the season.
It's not ideal. It's not ideal. Would have rathered that we finish the season and plan and prepare, but these opportunities for us to allow them to go should also speak to what type of contracts they were getting. And because we understanding what that means for their livelihoods, essentially took the bullet and said, okay, fine, it cripples us, but we would rather not hold on to you and cause you to miss out on such a big opportunity, such a good opportunity, and rather let you go and manage, get some money.
How difficult is that for a club in the same season or before the season started? You guys lost the head coach.
Oh, it's
under
very
such
difficult.
Similar circumstances.
It's very, very difficult, and it also tells you about what the African basketball terrain is going to be like going forward.
For you?
For you, for City Oil, for everybody, really.
In terms of money.
In terms of money, and that's also, that will also explain to you what's happening and what we have to change for us to progress at the BAL. We will not survive if we do not change our financing. If we don't increase it drastically.
And then how do you address the rumors that these players have been an up at the club? Because these allegations are put out by some of the guys that I think they are close to these players.
I can't speak to it. I can't speak on behalf of two adults. We haven't felt that way. I can't say for us as management, there's nothing that they have said to us or shown us to say that they are unhappy.
But Grace, you played for the club, and you retired around when? 2017?
Yes, something like that.
2017, if I'm not mistaken. I think you are more close to the players than maybe Haji, and
yes.
I can tell you some of the hardships they are going through at the club easier than they can do to Haji.
Well, our approaches are different. Yes, I am younger and we played together, so we enjoy a cordial relationship. But even outside of that, their relationship with Muhammad is a very good one. Actually, if anything, many of them think that he is the easier one to talk to than
Seriously?
I am. Yes. But having said that, outside of speaking, we are. You should be. I think that we're a good judge of character. We're able to read and see, and personally and at a management level, we haven't been shown any unhappiness with the team yet. So, but again, that's up to our interpretation on our end. Perhaps it has happened, but we wouldn't know. I'd be surprised, but.
Being an administrator, Grace is giving me political answers.
No, you see, the locker room, I'll tell you. You see, when you play, when you play, I mean, you've seen many clubs that have players who are unhappy, and they will play and complete. They'll even compete. Their result will not show. However, you cannot that. If you are unhappy, it will not stay out of the locker room for a very long time. And so,
like Cristiano Ronaldo came out and gave that interview to Piers Morgan.
Yeah, and that bust up or whatever it is shall come at some point. So if
and we think this is the point.
Yeah. So maybe maybe that will happen. Maybe something will come out. Maybe the men will give us an interview tomorrow. I'll be surprised to watch it. But we
I've tried to contact Jimmy and Oxy. Surprisingly, none has picked. None has responded to my messages. But I'm very hopeful. I pick they will pick eventually.
Yeah. So without sounding clairvoyant, for us, we haven't seen it. We have continued to treat them as best as we think that we have across the board. And where we made our mistakes, I expect that they would. It will not be enough for them to say, I would like to leave.
And it's so surprising, given that everyone in the basketball fraternity thinks that you guys are the benchmark in terms of the player welfare. Not just the salaries, but the way you treat these guys. And everyone thought that this is the reason as to why you guys have managed to hold on to these players for so long, because unlike any other team, one of the reasons I give to people as to why City Oilers have dominated for so long is because you guys don't normally tamper with the roster that you have. Because you'll see that at the end of the season, Power will have a new roster, KIU, and everyone, including non-Blazers who have just come onto the scene. And the same can be said of UCU, because they have a disadvantage that they cannot retain most of the players after they go through the education system. And something to come out is about players being not being contented about the welfare and everything, because there are those allegations that says that these two being the senior players on the team, they have been the bulletproof for the rest of the roster, saying that every time everything goes wrong, not necessarily that everything has gone wrong for City Oilers for the past seasons. Yeah. Actually, you guys are 9-time winners, so not much goes wrong anyway. But they are saying that every time something goes wrong, these guys have always taken the blame. They have always taken the stick from Haji and everyone, including you. And they felt that, no, we can no longer hold on to this.
We definitely hold them to a higher standard than the rest of the players. That one we're unapologetic about.
And it's understandable.
But we're also, our management is made up of sportsmen, and I'm also unapologetic about how, for us, we treat our expectations are do your best, win or lose. We've been successful so far, but it doesn't mean that won't change. And for us, that will never affect how we treat the players. And like you said, welfare for us is a very big deal. Loyalty is a very big deal. Continuity is a very big deal. But that loyalty also means that this human being having an opportunity to make the money that he makes in a year, in 1 month, it's a no-brainer. When Kami was leaving us, I can tell you, Kami was offered, I think, $1,500. His wife was given a job. He was given a home to live in. His children had a scholarship. You can't stop something like that. Coach Monday.
But that's not out of your reach.
No. You have to remember that there are, again, continuity. What are you going to do to keep the club running? And there is a cost for it. For instance, now we qualify for the BL, but qualifying for the BL makes it more expensive for us. Actually, we spend 2 times, 3 times the amount of money BL gives us, but we're the national representative, and that is outside of what we spend to keep the club running through the year.
Grace, you can kind of repeat that you guys actually spending more than what you earn from competing at Basketball Africa League.
Absolutely.
How is that possible?
Because the BL gives
Because
you...
I understand that maybe BL, like where you're competing in the conference leagues.
Yes.
They cater for the air tickets.
You see, I'll explain it to you. So the BL gives you $70,000 per club who make it to the final 12. But they give you $70,000 several months after you finished. For instance, now you won't have received that money. You will receive a small proportion at the beginning and the majority of it at the end.
So
and
you've got to incite yourself in
yes,
the
you have to
stages.
prepay for it. Okay? When you travel to qualify for the Elite 16, you must travel on your own. You pay for your travel, you pay for the players, you pay for your camp, you pay for whatever not.
And there is this first qualifier which you guys did.
Which is the Elite 16 I'm talking about. So the one before, we no longer go to the one before, the 32. And the 32 is usually hosted in Tanzania. When we went for that one, you still spent money on that as well. Your trip, any trip in Africa costs you almost $90,000. You spend about 30 to, if you're traveling to North Africa, maybe go the Senegals, and then you'll spend about 45,000. If you're going down here, you're spending about 33,000 to do. Camp costs you maybe $15,000. The players that you're bringing can cost you anything from $5,000 to $10,000. Now, all of that is happening for the Elite 16 and also for your travel to the BA round. Now, because you're going for camp, the BA only gives you tickets, yes. But the tickets they give you are for 3 days before the tournament starts. Because they have an insurance policy, which means that as soon as you enter an aeroplane on a ticket that they have sent you, the insurance kicks in. So they only give you that ticket for that time. They'll not bring them forward. So if you're going to go for camp, for instance, regardless of whether you're going to the same country for camp, you have to buy your own tickets.
It's that tough.
So we for instance, like to answer your question, therefore, if you are matching what the Rwandans were giving James Okello and the Burundians are giving Jimmy Enabu, you have already spent what you spend on 2 players in a period that you have another 15 people to take care of, excluding your staff that are not playing staff.
Those are numbers as moved.
Yeah, no, yes.
Grace, the other thing that I would want to ask is that maybe these players might not feel comfortable with the amount of money you give to the foreign-based players that you bring in during BAL in comparison to what you give them. Yes. Is there any truth around that?
I can understand that. I can understand that. We have made some recruiting mistakes and we have brought some players who, in retrospect, aren't leaps and bounds better than the players that are locally based. Yes. But we've also brought players who are leaps and bounds greater than. Interestingly, it's paradoxical, because if we had a substantial amount of finance, we would, for instance, have our own combine here. We would bring players to Uganda and check them out and see who we want. But you see, to bring a player, you have to remember that the period of time which these tournaments are, either you're going to have this player for the duration of the year and you contract him through the year, or you're picking up players who are available at that time and you train with them, or you've flown somebody there to see them in game, or you have brought them to your country and you have seen them play, and therefore you know that this one is certain, and for the 6-5 months I'm going to keep him, he's good enough for me. And then when you plug him into the team, he's everything that you want, it's a perfect fit. But you don't have that type of financing. I mean, I'll give you or you don't have the timing. We, for instance, had Philando Jones last year. We didn't have him this year, even though we had signed him, because his season in Egypt was changed to now overlap into the BAL.
I heard that the club just intentionally refused to release him.
No.
Those rules were unformed.
No. I have my own suspicions on why their calendar changed. But as a club, denying him release is not true, because his contract was to end of season, and as long as the season was, as long as the federation is saying that your playoff games are X number of days, and the days have changed to past the time when they were supposed to be, it's no longer your club's fault.
Then will you feel undone by what start with James Okello did to leave the club at a time when the club needed him the most, having you guys made him what he is now?
I think it's I think like I said before, the opportunity that he's going for is a good one. I don't think he's doing it out of malice to say I am leaving at this point. But the money is attractive. He too would have rather, it's harder to be difficult. It's harder to break relationships than to keep them. So for him to go, it was because the attraction to the offer was too good. And unfortunately for us, it comes at a time when we are unable to replace him. But this is life.
And then being with that answer, do you think you share that opinion with the rest of the guys at the club?
Yes, I do. We all feel the loss, but also would rather not stop him or Jimmy from benefiting from something as lucrative as what they are going for.
And then you guys, the release came on Friday, when the local transfer window was closing, because that's when the deadline was.
Yes.
And then there are those allegations that you guys were just trying to make sure that these two cannot sign for any club. Send
No, I can. Okay, so now that one I can help you. That one I can give you certainty. You don't have to cry. James Okello and Jimmy Enabu cannot sign for anybody else in Uganda.
Yes.
That one I can guarantee. Even
next season.
Next season, I don't know. But today...
Yes, because obviously because the deadline has already passed.
Not at all. Even if we had released them the first day of the transfer window, neither of them would have signed for a club that exists in Uganda today.
But we saw Luakroa is saying the same earlier while he was still a player at Sitoel, but he has since signed for Kampala Rockets. Which
is why I'm not saying it for Rai. But I'm saying for James Okello and Jimmy Enabu, with certainty, even if I release them with a year of transfer time, transfer window being open, that I've never signed for any other club.
Their release clause?
No.
Why are you speaking
with authority? You see, City Oil is not, as you have probably found out, it's not that we pay. For instance, there are players I know in other clubs who are paid more than these two.
Yes, that's true.
But the combination of things that the club does and is and means for these two gentlemen, they would not sign for anybody else here. In its current form, Uganda today, the National Basketball League, it can't happen.
But maybe I can tell you that Jimmy Enabu, maybe next season or the other, he will play for a certain club here, which is not Sitoela.
You see, now that he has gone away to Burundi, I am not. I don't have fortune teller skills, so I don't know what happened in Burundi. I don't know.
You can't be a prophet.
I can't be a prophet. I'm not clairvoyant. So next year, if he comes or whatever not, I can even see him playing for his home club in Entebbe. I can see him next year. I'm not sure.
To return to Night Riders.
Yes, to Night Riders for his emotion or whatever. Next year, I'm not certain. But I am talking about this year, this 2024. In this season, there was nobody they were going to sign for in Uganda.
For someone who has been there and who was part of that team that recruited the two, how would you describe them one by one? You start with James Okello. James
Okello owes his City Oil career to Coach Mugi, Coach Justus Mugisha.
Yeah.
He saw him. He had trained him at the school. He brought him. We grew together. When James came, he was raw, strong, hardworking, and ready to play. He has finessed all of those things to become one of Uganda's best big men. Jimmy Enabu, and we joke about it all the time. When I told him he owes his career and all his rings to Haji Muhammad and Silva Rugamba, because when he came, I tease him all the time. When he came, he was just an athlete, and he was transformed into arguably Uganda's best basketball player for men.
And having shared a dressing room with them, what's that one thing you can't forget about Jimmy? It might not be necessarily on court.
Jimmy is a student of the game. He's a student of the game. It's a student of the game who I think later on in his life, if he chooses so, will be an exceptional coach. James Okello is also a very clever player. He's a leader by example. Both have been in very difficult situations. I think Oxy has been in more difficult situations than Jimmy. Jimmy was...
The time when he lost his dad?
Not only that, not personal, really, but in as far as, for instance, playing time. So yes, Jimmy struggled when he was at Power, I think, but it was a combination of things. I don't think he was ready either. He was at a club which didn't play to his strengths. They weren't teaching, they ran. And then he came to City Oil. Thankfully, at the time when he comes to City Oil, the national team has started to play also, which means that we get more exposure, which means that our requirements as players change from just being athletes to now understanding the game and what to do. We keep joking about how we didn't have an understanding of what plays are until that happened for us. But by the time, for instance, we upgrade coaches from Coach Mande to Coach George, for instance, Jimmy was an established player. Jimmy was top scorer in Africa, for instance. Oxy played all his life outside of Uganda at the disadvantage of being, Oxy is not 6'6", Oxy is maybe 6'4", and he plays as a center for Uganda. So he will
battle with Walter Tavares. Exactly.
Probably he's the best defender against him in Africa, as far as I'm concerned. Yes. Now, he joins the Silverbacks. He is now not only being coached by his coach at home, he's being coached by an American who doesn't know who he is, but they're simple metrics. The Americans are asking you, what's your size? If they say Brian is 5 foot, Brian definitely is a guard.
Yeah, you cannot.
And even as a guard, he's one of the shortest guards we have. Can we find somebody who's 6'6" to be a guard? All right. Now you are telling them this is our center, and the man is 6'4". Coach said, "You people are crazy. This man has no place on my team. He can't do anything." It took him a lot of talking to until I think it was a game we lost in overtime to Angola in Senegal. I think is when I remember Coach, I wasn't even there for that
World Cup qualifier.
To which he says to Haji, "I'm sorry, I didn't realize what kind of heart this man has." And that's, for me, what stands out. The heart that he had to get him to play at his position and excel in spite of what his size is, tells you very much of the man.
And then, where would you rank Jimmy Enabu in terms of the greatest player to have ever played with the City Oilers? This team has had mainly the best players the league has ever seen, the likes of Kami Kabange, Stephen Omonya, and the rest. Where would you put Jimmy Enabu? At the top?
Yeah, it has to be. But it has to be. And it's granted he has the benefit of longevity for the club, but yeah, he would be.
And then speaking about Basketball Africa League, I didn't get a chance to have you guys, of officials from the club. This business of bringing these foreign-based players, many of them, like 7 or 6, and mix them with the local-based players. Many think that it hasn't worked, or the recruitment process
poor.
Yes, has been poor.
Yeah.
Majorly depending on how you guys performed in the Nile Conference against the defending champions Alali, Benghazi.
Actually,
and the other teams from Central
if you are
African
measuring
Republic.
against the defending champions, they're the ones who have the best record against.
Yes,
But the others, the poorest.
How do you hope to break that jinx to reach the playoffs?
We have to do better, like I said, and we have recruitment today, like I was saying to you before, is
not sustainable.
No, recruitment that way is not sustainable. But I'll explain to you how it's not sustainable. You see, we played against Al Ahly Egypt, Al Ahly Libya, and Bangui. Between the Libyans and the Egyptians, they spent almost $4 million. The Bangui team almost 800,000. And
for them, they don't care of how much they will be bringing in.
Well, there's no money that they're bringing in either. But for them, they have financing which allows them to contract. I mean, some of those people that we're playing against, they have players who are being paid $30,000 a month. That's your budget for the year. So you can't recruitment of that type. You can't do with our current pass. It has to be bigger. Number two, they have them for longer. All right. For instance, the Egyptian Al Ahly has the players that they have all year round.
And then someone would ask, why don't you at least let these local-based players go there, receive the beating, and then you know that maybe they're gaining experience. Next season they have learned a thing or two.
Those are armchair coaches and
social media
armchair patrons who don't understand the pinch of the money. When we leave Uganda, we understand. We also not going there because we want to lose. We're going there because we think that we have gotten the best team within our finances to do what we want to do, which is to progress. We want to make it to Kigali, because when you make it to Kigali, now you are closer to home. Now you can speak to a sponsor and say, I'm coming to Kigali. It's existential that we come to Kigali. But unfortunately, we've been unable to do it on the 2 times, and it's only becoming more expensive, and everyone around us is spending more money. I mean, look at our bench of 12. Now our best 2 players have been attracted to Burundi and to Rwanda. And not for BL, but for the local league, which tells you that we have to increase the amount of money that we are spending on recruitment, even locally. So it's not that we decide, but like I said, all of these things, when you're recruiting, the player that you're recruiting, how many months do you have him for? Are you going to keep him for a year? Are you going to keep him for 3 weeks? Are you going to keep him for 5 months? What is it? That's a cost, because they will sign with you because of that. And the ones who are coming, we don't take, it's true we have made some mistakes on the people that we have brought to play. But like I told you before, very much of it is we do not have enough time to check them out. We don't have enough time to check them out because we don't have enough time to contract them for us to check on this thing. So it's cyclical. As soon as we can solve that problem, we've made some adjustments since we came back from Cairo, and we expect that on quality of player we should get better. But even the pool from which we shall pick will not be the A-list, for instance, because the A-list will have already been absorbed by everybody who is spending $2 million a year on their club.
The way you speak, there is some certainty you have that next season you'll be at Basketball Africa League. Via our setting, the win of the National Basketball League gets a chance or qualifies for the Basketball Africa League.
Yes.
But many believe that after you guys losing the core of James Okello and Jimmy Enabu, your local dominance has been threatened. And that's where I want us to go. I understand, like I saw on the City Oilers roster, there is a name called Petty Parish.
Yes.
I don't know if he's going to play for the City Oilers in the second round.
Petty was registered with us because of the when we were going for the qualifiers in Pretoria.
For the Elite 16.
For the Elite 16, and we kept him on the roster for it. He plays. He when he left us, he went to the league in Iraq. He went to the league. He went to the league in Iraq. There's a very good chance that before we go into the playoffs,
he'll be available.
He will not be available because of their seasons or because of the opportunities that they get from the Arab world.
Yes.
And at that
the
point,
money that comes along with
yeah, I mean the money that they pay him is what would have paid him if he had stayed here for 6 months. So things like that. But we kept him on the books because he was there for South Africa, and he'll stay on. Same way we keep Robinson, same way we keep Roback on. They stay on the list because that's what we intend to use.
And
to
the
go
other
into.
season you had Abdi Hakim Ged.
Abdi Hakim, yes, but Hakim this year won't come because Hakim has school. It would have been him he could have played. Hakim would have played. Hakim, this is home for him. So
yes, and many people think that when you keep them on the roster, you are just keeping them there as scarecrows. But for the other teams to know that it's not yet guaranteed, this is not the sweet oil as that you should expect in the playoffs.
Yeah, but even without them, even without the people who they're supposedly scarecrows, I'm confident in our team. I'm confident in our team. I'm confident in our coaches. We will lose. We have lost great talent, but the squad is deep and strong enough to compete here.
You guys lost to Blazers in the first round. It's not that can be a precursor for what we expect because you've lost to your competitors, especially in the first round. We know you always play that opening game and you lose. Sorry, it's a norm that you guys lose, but you can be a different animal in the playoffs. But with the way Blazers have recruited, they have added Lukosa, Martha Wanyoto, and then Jimmy Williams. So that American guard has also returned. And then I know KIU Titans, NASA is cooking something. He has retained that squad that reached the final, and not that they gave you a hard run for your money last season, but you expected them also to come out big and guns blazing. Yeah. How would you compare the opponents? That's Blazers and KIU Titans. Sorry to Power and everyone out there, but KIU and Blazers seem to be more suitable to dethrone you guys of your title.
They are definitely the best. They are definitely the competition. I agree with you. It's definitely not Power.
Power might even be relegated if they're not serious.
I think they can manage. I think they might have gotten the monkey off their back with that win. But I think they have enough pride and enough senior players to get them over the hump. But they'll not be competing for a championship.
When Falcons were under that same streak.
No. Falcons had no players, no club whatsoever by the time they went. So yeah, I agree with you. KIU is definitely competition. Namungo Blazers is definitely competition, but I still like our chances against them.
I would have wanted this conversation to continue, but maybe, Grace is a busy guy and you just have to hijack him in his office. And I'm very grateful that you managed to spare some time because I told you that I'll be arriving here in a few minutes when I was coming from Namole, but you had to wait for me. Yes. And I'm very thankful. Maybe we'll have more of this in the near future about the club, the direction and everything, because you guys, we've discussed about this earlier before this show, that the communication department is still lacking.
Absolutely. It's if this club was if our communication was required to give us a result for who remains in NBL, would have been relegated
in the lower division.
Yes, absolutely.
Ashakom Gishaori is a tax, you guys, but
it's true. We have so much to do.
But like I said, I'm very thankful for giving me the opportunity to come and have a chat with you guys. And I think the viewers, whether you are contented or not, at least you've heard from the big man. And I can assure you, no, let me not assure you. I will look for Enabu and James Okello, and maybe very soon we will still have them on the show. Thank you guys for watching, and remember to subscribe. I've been with Kwizera, the general manager of City Oilers, the most dominant club in the, not just in the National Basketball League, but in Ugandan sports fraternity for the last decade. Because in Prison Zone Nick have dominated Villa and everyone, but they have not, I don't remember any team that has won 9 in a row for the last decade or so. I think we've talked about Enabu and James Okello shocking departure from the club, and has given his view, and I guess you're contented. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.